So it's Friday, and we're going to talk a little bit about spiritual symbolism of this week's parasha. It's not on Parashat Shavua, but overall. We have in this case, in this parasha, Parashat Noach, we mentioned yesterday that we have Noach and Avraham mentioning both of them. And it's quite interesting because of the difference commandment in which HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells them and interacts with them. Noach was a flood, and he spent there in a flood, the famous, he didn't live in a flood, but and always associated with the flood. And Avraham is associated with the desert. And when the main commandment for Noach is Bo atau, come you and your family to the Teva, Bo, and to Avraham is Lech, go. So, what does it tell us in the internal process to ourselves? Sometimes we know the Chachamim said that when things are bad or the influence of society is inappropriate and so on and so forth, we should go to the desert, go to the caves, go to the desert, isolate yourself from that. We saw many times that prophets, Eliyahu and other people, went to the desert from whatever is going on over there. Why the desert? What's so special about the desert? What's so special about the desert, and that's why I think many people don't appreciate the desert. I love the desert, I'll tell you the truth. It's a beautiful place. Is first of all that it's almost barren. It's kind of empty. There's no trees, and there are here and there, but it's quite empty. And it's quiet. City dwellers, for whatever reason, tend to be very removed, and the longer they stay in the city, they tend to be removed from nature, from things around them. They become less spiritual, and so on and so forth. Well, first of all, is that because, think about it, we don't have the contact with the soil. We wear shoes on top of concrete. We walk, we never feel any connection to the earth, and in a way we kind of forget that that's where we're heading also. And also that there is a lot of noise in the city. There's a lot of chatter in the city. Noise, constant bombardment of noise. That noise masks the voice that is inside of us all the time, that what the Gemara refers to as this bat kol, this heavenly voice. This heavenly voice comes out all the time. The Gemara says every single day there's a heavenly voice that says, watch out from the Torah, that you left it, and so on and so forth. It's every day, but yet we don't hear it. That voice, by the way, is the voice that helps us make tshuva, that all of a sudden we hear this voice inside of us, not that we are psychotic or anything, but this overwhelming feeling of spiritual flood that makes us become Baalei Tshuva, and Baalei Tshuva, I'm not referring only to a person who was born secular and became religious. Any person at any level of observance should go through a process of Tshuva almost daily. For example, if a big schut came to your hand, if you would stop 1 second and think about it, one should really ask is what did I do to deserve such a schut? I don't deserve such a schut. I'm willing to do it, but I don't deserve such a schut. Make tshuva. That's called tshuva. But instead we don't. We say, it's lucky. Look at me, I'm the man. I don't know. A person did shalom bayit between a husband and wife. They were about to divorce and put them together. That chance that you got to maybe try to put them together should tremble you enough to shake you to make tshuva. But we don't hear it because there's so much noise around us. You go to the desert, you're able to hear it. Avraham Avinu, Kadosh Baruch Hu told him, go to the desert. Because only there you'll be able to separate yourself and reshape yourself into the father of the nation, the patriarch of this nation, that's supposed to lead the people to know me, God, as I am. But to Noach, he doesn't say that. Noach, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes in, floods the word and says, Boi lateva. So they say, B'Shem Baal Shem Tov, I mean, I don't know if he really said it, but still, it's good to refer to him like this. It's kind of, it's like people say, I don't know, the Chachamim say. So the Baal Shem Tov say the same B'Shem of Baal Shem Tov. It really, in a way, doesn't make a difference really who said it. I mean, if it's something that is good, it should be able to stand by itself without putting names to it, who said it and who, because then you just, but you get the point. But anyway, nevertheless, they say the Shem Baal Shem Tov, that Bo, when it says Bo, Vayomer Hashem leNoach, Bo ata v'chol beitcha el hateva. Bo el hateva, teva is what? An ark. We also call teva the place where we pray in shul. That's the teva. Bo ata el hateva. Come to prayer. Because the only thing that's going to save you is prayer. Bo ata el hateva, bo ata el Torah. Come to Torah. Come to prayer. When there's going to be such a mess, a wave of spiritual filth, a tsunami of spiritual pollution, you need to come inside. Bo ata el hateva, bo ata el Torah. Come to pray, come to learn. And we forget that. That's the time that you should go inside and close yourself within. Isolate for yourself. Go into that desert. In a way, there's a certain aspect of desert to water as well. There's nothing there but water. There's nothing there but sand. And if you go to the ocean, it's like a desert. A lot of water, nothing to drink, not even a drop to drink, right? But then HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Noach something else. At the end, he tells him, Tzeh, get out of the teva. What does it mean, get out of the teva? He told him, come la teva, and then Tzeh la teva. What does it tell me? There are times, and therefore, that's why I could not turn everything into a dogma, just like that. Everything is changing all the time. Boi lateva, come inside when things are like this. Don't get affected by it and infected by it. Preserve yourself. Go into your internal when there's so much gashmiyut out. And it's, again, not for nothing. We always say, Meshiva ruach u'morid hageshem. We always say by the Chatam Sofer, Meshiva ruach, he who brings the spirituality, morid hageshem, puts down the gashmiyut, materialism down. After the peak of the high holidays, we need this like divine support to bring us back up, because there's always a down. So we should be able to create this momentum, but then there will be time in which we should also go out. Tzeh me'hateva. And Avraham Avinu is the same thing. He's in the desert. He makes himself available to all, and yet he travels all over the country. His place is in the desert, but he travels all over the country. Why? Because he needs to save the people. What good it is to you if you're sitting here all the time and you only worried about yourself and you're not going outside and actually helping to make this world better? That's the difference between Avraham and Noach. They were both needed to strengthen themselves, to gain power, and then to save as a model. Noach stayed. That's why he needs to tell him, get out. It's time to go out. Let's not talk only about the teva as the water and he built the ark. Let's look at more than that. What does it tell us? And that's what it tells us. There will be time that we need to go out. That's the time we will go out, and we should. And then when he goes out, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him the rainbow. And the rainbow symbolizes, what we said as yesterday, symbolizes harmony. There's a old folklore story. I don't know exactly what it's talking about, but again, the idea is an idea. There were four wise men walking. ארבעה בנים דיברה התורה. אחד חכם, אחד רשע, אחד תם, ואחד שאינו יודע לשאול. That represents different qualities in different people. So the chacham is the intellectual. Everything with him is intellect. He's smart. He's all sechel yashar, and he thinks everybody's an idiot around him. Right? The Rasha is the Rasha, is a wicked man, he thinks everybody is wicked, he's all there for and so on. And the Tam guy that, everything is so innocent, and he doesn't know how to ask because he's asking all the time questions, he doesn't want to hear anything. Those people really cannot tolerate each other. I mean, these are all contradicting qualities. That, for example, the Chacham cannot tolerate the one who doesn't know how to ask questions. He says, well, what kind of questions are you asking? You don't want to hear anything, right? And this one who doesn't know how to ask looks at the Chacham and says, you're so aloof, it's like, you Mr. Know-it-all. And the Rasha looks at the Rasha, the sneaky one, looks at the Tam and says, what kind of imbecile this guy is? And the other one, you get the idea. But they really can get along together. You put them together and it's just catastrophes. But just what happens, one day, they're going alone in the road. They're walking in a path together. That's all of them walking like this together. And guess what happens? What happens, David? You don't know? Okay, I'll tell you what. Thunder, lightning, and torrential rain. This terrible rain was coming down. So one of the guys says, listen, I know there's a shul here somewhere. Let's go over there. So they're running over there, and needless to say, that unfortunately the shul was destroyed, and the only thing that was left was just a little piece of roof with a teva and a Sefer Torah laid on top of it. So they all said, okay, let's go around and at least, what can you do? As they're staying, around the teva, the rain comes now. It's a weird rain. It comes from all directions, like this, all directions. It's coming, and so there's no chance. They need to really hover over the Torah in a way, hugging each other, embracing each other, so they won't get wet. All of a sudden, God appears to them, and they're all perplexed. Because they've never experienced that HaKadosh Baruch Hu in anywhere they went, because the intellectual was too busy with his intellect. He was agnostic. He was very into his intellect and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. And they're all perplexed. And they said, how come you all of a sudden appeared? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered them, because it's the first time that you hugged each other, that you came about together. And how? Over my Torah, you hugged each other. You created harmony for your mutual, in a way, suffering. You created a certain bound with each other. And all of a sudden, it did not make a difference that you were an intellectual and the other guy was an ignorant and so on and so forth. You all share one common thing together. And when was that? That was around my Torah. Bo el teva, come to the teva to protect you from the rain. Those qualities of these four people is all qualities that we find also inside of us, internally. But we don't live in harmony with other people around us, but out of selfishness, of course. But we don't live in harmony within ourselves. And that's why we learn Torah and we so-called live Jewish life, and yet we act like we should not act. And we sometimes find ourselves saying things that come out of our mouth, and it's like, I can't believe I said that. And you really believe what you're saying. because you are in disharmony with yourself because of selfishness. Again, I think the Mabul is with all the sins of the generation Mabul had done is only because of selfishness and self-pleasure, seeking pleasure, immediate selfish pleasure without sharing the good with the other one. That's why Torah, the process of Torah is Okiyuma mitzvot, which is a way to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As we established, the Kiyuma mitzvot, doing the mitzvot is just a vehicle to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so you have to learn. You have to go into the Bet Midrash. But then you have to go out. How? Because you have to teach. Lilmod ulelamed. It's not all about you. Now you have to pass it on to someone. What good is it that you learned the whole entire thing and you never shared it with anyone? Well, you're too selfish. Oh, I need to learn more. Of course you have to learn more, but how will be the one who didn't learn? Where's your appreciation to him? Where is what you learned from your Rebbe because your Rebbe had taught you? Where were you when your Rebbe had taught you? Didn't you look at that he gave up time from himself to teach you? Why wouldn't you give time from yourself to teach somebody else who is not as fortunate as you? Lishmor, to guard. The shmirah of guarding the mitzvot as a bearer around you depends on your ability to be selfless. La'asot asiyah, to connect. And then the kiyum of mitzvot, that the mitzvot will be as a ladder for you to climb up in the spiritual thing and to become closer to Hashem, and by doing so becoming more of a spiritual person, really depends on that. That's why you see a lot of people, unfortunately, who are perfectly fine shomer Torah and mitzvot, but they're completely not spiritual, because for them it's just doing the mitzvah. Okay, I did the mitzvah and I put it to the side. I did the mitzvah and I put it to the side. Not look at the mitzvah as a vehicle to share and to grow, as just as an instrument to get closer to God. That's why most people are not spiritual. So in other words, boi lateva, v'tzeh me'ateva, ve'italech ba'aretz, and walk all over the land. That's, I feel, to my very humble and insignificant opinion, I think this is the internal message that this parasha tells us on a spiritual level. Shabbat Shalom.